Hi, this is Chris Legaspi, and you are watching the featured content from a past issue of my private school newsletter. Private School is a monthly newsletter that I write, and it's full of exclusive content that's only available to subscribers. Subscribers will get videos like this. They'll get step-by-step detailed process images, handouts, and much, much more. So if you want access to content like this as it becomes available, all you have to do is go to my website, www.drawwithchris.com, and there you can enter your email and you'll be good to go. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the video. Hello and welcome back. In part 2 of this live drawing session, I'm going to do a 15-minute pose. In part 1, I did a 10-minute pose of a figure. Now this is the second pose, and I'm going to do a 15-minute head study here. And this life drawing session was streamed live by drawthis.com. So every Friday they're streaming a life drawing. It's crazy. Definitely check them out on Facebook or head over to their website and sign up for their email list to get the latest. But this was a lot of fun. Felt a lot like being there, the time pressure. So what you're watching is actually recorded as I'm drawing live. So I rarely get to record a live drawing like this, so it was a lot of fun to do. So as you can see, I'm starting with the gesture as I normally do. If you followed my work for any length of time, you'll know that I pretty much start the same way every time, gesture and shape. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm pretty happy with the shape. Notice that beautiful sweeping gesture that goes from the top of the head down to the neck. That's really the main thrust of this drawing, the main action. And I captured the shape and the tilt. That's really important. So the 2D is working, the crosshairs is working. Now I'm beginning the 3D, the construction. And for me, that starts by putting in the planes. And planes are a way to flatten a curved form. So if you're kind of new to this style of drawing, if you're new to me, planes is how we flatten organic form. So like here, I'm turning the face into basically a box, a front plane and the side plane, front side and a side side. Just like the nose here, I'm going to turn this into a box as well, and also goes along with the shadow shape, which we'll talk about as well. And constructing the mouth, so I always make my mouth like a big old tennis ball, like a big round sphere, to show the round form of the teeth. Really affects the mouth, the shape of the mouth. Here, what I'm doing is I'm starting to jump into shadow pattern, kind of doing two things at once. With enough experience, I'm able to kind of jump around a little bit. So this is really an instructional video. You're watching me kind of freestyle and problem solve. Really, that's what I'm doing here. I'm problem solving with a time limit. So I'm forced to make really good decisions, and that's what I like about life drawing, why I always recommend it. It forces you to think correctly. Here I'm trying to draw the shapes of the mouth. This is more of a 2D problem here. I started with kind of a 3D idea, drawing like a half tennis ball on his mouth there, the barrel of the teeth, and I'm going to go over this a few times. The mouth gave me a lot of problems. Part of the reason was the reference I had was small. The little window was about kind of the size I had for this stream, the little video stream I had. And also I'm drawing this outside in the sun. It's a sunny day, and I'm drawing in my balcony actually. So my monitor screen is just blown out. I can barely see detail with it. So I'm faced with that problem. So I'm having a really hard time making out the shapes that I see on the model. But I've drawn this scenario many times, and I understand the anatomy as well underneath. So I'm able to kind of improvise a little bit, kind of freestyle a little bit, kind of draw from what you know. And that's really what life drawing teaches you, is how to draw from what you know. Do your anatomy studies and do hundreds of facial studies and things, so you can kind of know what's underneath there, at least the structure wise. To me, it's very important. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the construction, and I'm jumping right in to shadow pattern here. What I'm doing is I'm adding a slightly softer edge at the core shadow. When I say slightly, it's because I'm using a mechanical pencil. So obviously this very sharp pencil can only produce very hard lines. So it's still a hard core shadow edge there. But on a male, you can kind of get away with it, especially like a male like this with a chiseled kind of lean face. You can kind of get away with it, and it works at a bony structure like the nose. The nose is mostly bone and cartilage, but these soft, fleshy areas, it's not going to work so well. I'm going to switch to a different pencil soon. But for the lay-in, this is pretty good. This is pretty good, and I just like mechanical pencil because you don't have to sharpen it. I just, sometimes I'm too lazy. I don't like to sharpen too much. The mechanical works great for sketching. So what I'm doing here is I'm massing in, or at least designing, or kind of copying, drawing the shape of the shadow that I see, including his neck. I'm grouping as much as I can. There's a lot of subtleties in that shadow. There's a couple of dark accents here and there. Even his hair is much darker than the shadow body itself. But as you can see, I'm just totally grouping that in. And now I've started to mass in the shadow starting at the face, the smaller shapes. And you can really see the separation now. Now it's starting to cook. All right, we're starting to get somewhere now. And now, that mustache really adds a lot to the likeness. And here's an interesting choice. Notice I picked out a little bit of light shape on that ear, and that's not really there. Not really there. I did that. That was a conscious choice because I wanted that little top shelf of that ear to put some form over there. That little shape is enough to give me form. So it's just a quick little thing I do. Again, drawing from what you know and from experience, I know that a little bit of light hitting there will add a lot more depth. Now it's not just a flat shadow area. Now there's suggested form, and an ear is suggested just with that little tiny shape. So that's the power of good shape design, good placement. So I masked in the shadow. Here I switched to another pencil. This is a Faber-Castell graphite. It's a 2B as well. So starting with the 2B. Now I'm going to try to soften the edge as best as I can. I'm probably not going to do a good job. Aesthetically, I tend to exaggerate the core shadow, especially when I draw from life. Because I love the graphic look so much. I care so much about the design that I'm willing to sacrifice form for the design. But that's just me. That's not the right or wrong way. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not saying everybody should do that. It's a way. It's the way I chose to do, and it's what I like, You draw the way you like, what you think looks good. But the core draftsmanship is there. Okay, and notice the way I'm using these tones. In terms of technique, I'm kind of using the side of the pencil, and I'm pressing down to get slightly darker tones. So it's quite a fun way to draw. It's a lot like drawing with a charcoal pencil almost. But graphite just doesn't really get that dark, and it's very shiny. I'm sure you can see that this drawing looks so gray and shiny. It's not really that gray because it's a bright sunny day. I'm outside, and the graphite is reflective. There's little pieces of metal in there. So here I'm going over the with the pen, trying to make the core shadow area darker, just trying to emphasize it. Again, I'm more interested in the graphic look, and to be honest, I'm having a really hard time seeing what the shape is. So kind of relying like maybe 80% what I see or 60% what I see, and the rest on what I know, just based on experience. Here, trying to turn the core shadow. Earlier, I mentioned planes, that we box a human being, organic form, into planes. You don't want to keep it a box. to get that naturalism you want to eventually turn the corner. That's what I'm trying to do here. I should probably, if I wasn't drawing from live, or if I had more time, if I had 2 hours, I would definitely, I would erase that edge, just make it softer. It's a little too hard. Now that I'm looking at it, it's a little too hard. And it's too light. The shadow mask is so light, it's not working. It's just way too hard. It looks way too boxy. Especially at the forehead there. But that's okay. You know, that kind of hard edge works at the nose, right? And kind of works at the chin. But once you get to the forehead and the cheek, the fleshy parts, the round parts, it just becomes too stylistic. Kind of loses that natural flavor. So yeah, here I'm starting to get conscious of it. But you know, these are the things that you pick up on when you review your work or review what you've done. And you know, after I probably need to make that mistake another 1,000 times or so, and then I'll get it right. You know, you just keep trucking along. You keep drawing, you keep making mistakes. Hopefully, you get some good feedback and some good correction, some good guidance. A good mentor can help you out there, or get inspired. Find some work you like, get inspired. So here, that really helped right there. Darkening the shadow body helped that turn at the forehead, especially, not look so boxy. Ideally, I should use a really dark pencil like a 6B, to go darken that shadow. But I'm actually getting close to the end of the time here. And now what I'm going to do is try to build up the halftone. That will help also make that edge a little bit softer and more real. It's even starting to help. Because two things need to happen. One, the transition tone needs to get darker. And the shadow body itself needs to get darker. Well, the shadow body at the transition, where the core shadow goes in the shadow. That's the transition part of the shadow and the core shadow. There's two sides of the core shadow, right? Going into shadow and going into light. Both sides need to be darkened, really. Just basically really rounding that turn. And here I'm just putting some tone in the eyes. The eyes aren't white, actually. They're 9 times out of 10, they're in a lot of shadow. So they're quite dark, actually. So knocking them down helps them to recede. And pretty much with the remainder of the time left, I'm going to desperately try to soften that core shadow. Add a little bit of detail here and there. Not much I can do here. And, make the value work. Again, the value control. What needs to be darker should go darker. As dark as I can with a 2B. What needs to be softer can go softer. Now I'm picking out some highlights. I really like that highlight. On the model, his skin, he's probably sweating a little bit, and plus the exposure of the video camera, you can see that beautiful hard-edged highlight. But that highlight only worked well with tone, so that's kind of what I'm doing here. Notice as I made the nose darker, put tone on it, the highlight starts to work, because you need a tone to separate the halftone from the white of the paper, reserving the white of the paper for the highlight. That's what I'm trying to do here. And just basically going through. This is exactly what I would do if I had 2 hours. Probably I would take more time at the core shadow and keep going back to that. But refine the edges, refine the values, make the halftones look good, correct the shapes, add subtle details here and there. And he has some interesting details in his chin. Now I got seduced here, I'll admit. Looking at his chin, he has some wonderful little detail, tiny little shapes, and they just suck me right in. So that's one of the things you got to be careful of. When you're drawing from life, drawing from the model. Oh, there it is. Look at me. Look, see, that was the correct decision, just to soften it out. Now it's feeling more like a natural cheek, which is way too hard. Look at that. It's still too hard, but we're getting somewhere there. And, probably starting with a razor sharp Mechanical pencil doesn't help. So here I go. I'm going to soften the forehead. I'm glad I picked up on it. But that's pretty much the end of this clip. Okay, that's the end of this pose, and that's the end of this video. I want to thank you for watching. If you like this video, and if you haven't already, make sure to sign up for my free newsletter. Newsletter subscribers will get access to exclusive content, so you'll get videos just like this straight to your email inbox. And of course, you also get your hands on the newsletter first, and also get updates on cool life drawing events, workshops, classes, discounts on courses. I got a couple courses coming. You definitely want to sign up, and my newsletter is free. All you have to do is go to my website, www.drawwithchris.com, and you'll be good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun. Shout out to drawthis.com for their free life drawing stream every Friday. Check them out, and I'll definitely look forward to making more recordings of their life drawing stream. So until next time, get out there, keep drawing, and build up that mileage. Bye for now.